New hat, new video, am I right? Hello and welcome once again to the Dwarven Tavern. I am Lyric and today we are going to be starting yet another new topic, and that is for beginners. Beginners to basically the tabletop game. To games like Pathfinder and D&D and World of Darkness and all those phenomenally fun games. We're just here to start you in the right direction. So if you have any questions as a beginner, please comment below and we will hopefully answer them either with a reply comment or with another video. Let me explain this a little bit for you guys. We plan to make a bunch of new videos about what you can do as a new gamer and how you can better understand the game itself and how you can understand all the aspects to the game. We're going to be focusing mostly on like the different criteria of what you need to be able to play the game, such as like character sheets and dice and pencils and all that stuff. So in this video, we're going to be covering the different dice. So let me get those out for you and I will explain the dice itself. So here are your regular sets of dice. These are your regular sets. You have a D4, you have a D6, you have a D8, a D10, a D12, a D20, and percentile dice. So these are your 7 dice. I think I have 7 here. 1, 2, yeah, I have 7. Sometimes I lose them. That is something that happens as a gamer. You will lose your dice, but that's why they make more. So, why these dice are important for pretty much any tabletop game is that they are the deciding fate of your characters. You can also download, dice apps on your phone. I guess I should say die apps because that's more appropriate. That sounds better grammatically. Yeah, I have an app called Nice Dice. So you can download them on your phone if you can't afford these, because I'm pretty sure those apps are free. But do buy these because it not only supports your local gaming group, but it also it's always fun to collect dice for some reason. These dice as a whole are a unit, and it is very important to have each of them just so that all your aspects of your gaming is covered. The one die that you will use the most, and probably the one that we should talk about first, is the D20. I mean, that's probably where most of the gaming advertisement comes from, is from the D20. So this little bugger is important because it is pretty much what your character is based off of. It is a 20%, well, it's 1 in 20% chance that something will happen. It is, I have it written down, it is what rules your initiative plus your dexterity. But that's for D&D. Then it has your attack, it's your movement, it's your skills, like how well can you tell a lie, how well can you blend into your surroundings. This is what decides that. So this is very important, and you will rely on this one more often than not. I usually find myself pulling this die alone out of its case and using it. Oh, and one other thing to cover real quick. Singular, it is pronounced die, as in hair dye, or you will die if you mispronounce die. And then plural, comme ça, dice. And as a true gamer, you will find it so appalling to mispronounce that. And I hate myself a little inside whenever I do mispronounce that. Just as these are called D numbers and not like dodecahedron or triangle. So please keep the terminology in mind. It's a lot to remember, but as you continue gaming you realize that it's not that bad. So this is the die that you will rely on most, and keep it handy at all times. Do not lose this, because if you do, you're gonna have a bad time. So the next die to talk about is probably this one. The most common, what everyone knows is as the dice. It is the 6-sided die, and it's a 1 in 6 chance, and it rolls In D&D, it rolls mostly damage and, for the DM, chance, which that really just depends on how many characters are in game. If you have 3 characters, then it's like 1 and 2 is 1, 3 and 4 is 2, and 5 and 6 is 3. So, very hard, but you get used to it. So, this is mostly for weapons and damage done, as is with most of these dice, like the this one, which is the 4-sided because it has 4 sides, and the 8-sided, which has 8 sides. So those 3 dice, these 3 dice are normally, or I guess the 10-sided is also in that group. These are normally for damage and for your weapons and stuff. So please keep those in mind. You may need them, but sometimes a few of your dice do get forgotten in your game if you don't have a certain amount of damage done with a certain weapon. So usually the DM will use a certain die to represent how many characters are in the campaign. So if you guys are being attacked by chance, let's say you have a bunch of orcs and there are 4 of you, who's getting attacked first? Is it 1, 2, 3, or 4? It's number 1, so sorry number 1, but you're getting your head chopped off by an orc, so sorry. And then, well, I guess the 12-sided is, so these 5 dice, these 5 dice are usually damage and what I mentioned before. That's what they are. And then the 10-sided can also be used with a pairing, which is this one. It's got 2 numbers on it on each side, and that these together are called the percentile dice, and they decide your fate in percentiles. Like I just rolled in a nook, so I'm gonna roll my percentile dice. I got a 25% chance that I'm doing a great job. If I roll above that, I'm doing a great job. If I roll below that, I'm doing an awful job. I rolled an 82, so I think I'm doing great. So this is basically what the DM uses to decide if what you're asked for is appropriate. Like, can I get a tower shield as a bard? There is a 4% chance that that is actually going to work. I got a 94. It's not going to work. So this is usually just a DM tool. But I have found in game, if you are unsure of whether you are trying to decide what your character is deciding, or if your character is trying to decide, the best way to make sure that your character is not following your own alignment but their alignment is to roll percentile dice. Like, if you don't know if you should go down that path but you think your character would because that's how they are, you roll percentile dice. Like, would my character decide to eat that apple? 69% chance and a 2. So I am definitely going not to eat that apple because it looks grody. So that's what they are used for, and it's just for percentage, and you don't really use that much in like battles. Probably not hardly any time in battle do you use percentile dice, except for if you are using the Critinomicon, which is just a table laid out for like when you fumble or critical. Oh, there's so much to this. So, moving on. Another thing, what I just mentioned, a fumble or a critical, is when you fumble, you get a 1 on your 20-sided die. And when you roll a 1, that means whatever action that you're trying to perform, you have now fumbled. You have ruined that action. For example, you are trying to clash swords with your enemy and you end up rolling a 1 and throwing that sword away into the distance, never to see it again. That is a fumble. And it happens a lot more than any gamer would care to admit. And that happens even if you add onto it like bonuses or whatnot. Like if you roll a 1 on your die, it's a 1 and you can't get out of it. And to critical, which is the exact opposite, is to do double, triple, quadruple, quintuple, multiply by a bigger number your damage and your attack. So by getting a natural 20 or a critical on a 20-sided die is the absolute best your character can do. So by being at critical, I don't know why it's called critical, but I guess it works the best vocabulary-wise. So if you get a 20 on a 20-sided die, that's the best you can hope for. Though sometimes your character, when they get up in level, sometimes 20 isn't enough, and you need to have enough bonuses to make up for that. So even getting a natural 20 sometimes may not be enough to defeat your foe. So it really just depends on where your character is in-game and where they are in their campaign. So keep that in mind. And then there are other dice that I don't really have with me right now, but there are other dice like the D2, which is just a coin, the D3, D7, D120. Those are dice that they're cool to have, but not really necessary in game unless you decide that your character is going to have a bunch of like damage or whatnot. Though I have found it better to roll multiple dice than just one die covering it all, because if you rolled a die, a D120 for 120 points of potential damage, you can still roll a 1. While if you rolled, say, percentile dice and a 20, you can at least get a 2. So, or I guess you could still get a 1 if you counted that the 10 on the 10 on this one as or the 00 as 0 and not 100. So it really just depends, I guess. And then there are such games where these dice as themselves are just used separately. Like oftentimes when you're playing a board game, the D6 is used just by itself for however many moves you have. Or, like in World of Darkness, as a game series all on its own, you use a D10 for everything. You don't even need the D20 or any other dice for that. So, I mean, it really just depends on your gaming system. And I guess if you just read up on the rules, you'll understand how to play those games. But this is mostly based on, like, RPGs and tabletop games like Dungeons & Dragons. So I really hope this helped. And if you have any comments or any questions, or I did not explain anything correctly, please comment below. I am okay with constructive criticism, and I am okay with expanding on topics that you're curious about. So please comment below, and I will get back to you as soon as possible, whether it is a comment or a video, another video, because I know you guys like to see me. So please comment below. Please like and subscribe. Please like and subscribe and share and all that other fun stuff. And we really, really hope that this is helpful for you. And if it's not, tell us why, because we really want to expand and make it a better gaming world for everybody. So that ends this video. We really hope you guys liked it. And remember, at the tavern, we wish for you to want for nothing but adventure, and at first I feared it, then I charged. Thank you guys for always watching, and we'll see you next time.